To celebrate how well my last video went, I figured it would be nice to buy ourselves a Hydrix and make ourselves an Amulet of Souls. We still have some more Reaper points available, but we're going to hold on to them for now. At least for a little bit. Oh. I need 99 crafting, and I only have 91. I can't boost for this. Well, never mind. We'll come back to it later.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I got a Vile Blooms task and I was dreading doing it because my previous experience on another Ironman that had only a Sun Spear for magic proved to me that doing this task was awful because of its special ability, where it does a bunch of damage to you, it heals itself, and if you don't do enough damage to it, it will pretty much kill you. That's pretty common for most of the Anachronia Slayer monsters, is that they have a special attack that they do after a certain number of auto attacks. What I didn't know is that you can stall these auto attacks with stuns, so if while you're killing the Vile Bloom you use some periodic stuns such as Asphyxiate or Deep Impact or whatever those stuns are called for magic, you will delay the auto attacks long enough that you should be able to do enough DPS to kill it before it does its special attack. If it does do its special attack, it's usually really close to dying anyway, and you just use Tuska's Wrath and you finish it off. The only real reason why I want to do this task is because they have a chance of dropping Blast Diffusion boots, and the drop rate is much higher if you're on a Slayer task. The Blast Diffusion boots are really good because they're not only identical in stats to Virtus boots, but also they improve your detonate spell by making it charge. Well, it says in half the time, but because of the way ticks work, it does it after 2.4 seconds instead of 3.6, when half of 3.6 is actually 1.8, but don't worry about it. It makes it better, and it makes it actually worthwhile to use, especially if you're doing Slayer, so I want Blast Diffusion boots. They have a higher drop rate from Raksha. We can't kill Raksha just yet. So we're gonna kill Flowers. We weren't able to make the Amulet of Souls, but in the process of getting those Reaper points, we got over 2,000 boss kills, which means we can unlock the Adrenaline Potion Refresh thing from War's Retreat, which, I mean, if we use Adrenaline Potions, that'll be useful, but I haven't really used them yet. It's just nice to have. More importantly, we can unlock another aura. We already have the Reckless aura for range, so I was deciding, do I want magic or do I want melee? I went with the Berserker aura because we have a Dragon Rider Lance. It's better than our magic option right now, which is still just a Sunspear. And in honor of unlocking this new aura, we're going to fight Krill Susaroth with magic. Don't worry about it. We're going to use that melee aura at some point in the future. See, the problem with auras is that they're so... It's like in every RPG, where you get this really good item, and you don't want to use it because you might need it later. With these auras, you can only use them for a half hour, and they have, what, a 5-hour cooldown? So you think, well, I could use it on this boss, but what if I want to fight a different boss later? You're not going to fight a different boss later, just use it right away. But you still have that same thought of, I don't want to use it yet. Oh, use an aura refresh, but I don't want to waste the aura refresh. Anyway, we got 95 Slayer, which is very, very good, and I'll explain why. Of course I'm going to explain it. Why would I even say that? 95 Slayer unlocks Ganodermic Beasts, which means we can now make Ganodermic armor with Ganodermic Flakes, which will come in handy when we want to do some anime dead strategies, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So I know I mentioned before that I've been using my XP lamps not on Herblore anymore. I've been committing a cardinal sin of Ironman, and I've been neglecting my Herblore, and I haven't been giving it the lamps it needs. Well, here's why. I have a lot of herb seeds. I don't know why. I have a ton of Lantidime seeds. I have no idea where those came from. I think they came from Krill. I'm not sure. Either way, I got a ton of seeds I just got to turn into herbs. But also, look at all the herbs and secondaries I have. The most frustrating part of training Herblore, at least for me, is collecting the supplies. Once you have the supplies, training it is pretty trivial. We even have invention machines that'll make the unfinished potions for you. Most of the bosses in God Wars Dungeon 1, 2, and 3, specifically 2 and 3, drop a lot of Herblore supplies because Jagex knows what we need, so they put them on the drop table. Lantidimes, Dwarf Weeds, Wines of Zamorak, Mud Runes, Potato Cactus, a bunch of stuff. So really, it's early game and early mid-level Ironmen who struggle training Herblore, not later game Ironmen. I would say I'm kind of in the later midpoint, so I'm not too worried about Herblore right now. What's frustrating me is gathering tertiaries for summoning. It's boring, I hate it, and I hate running to the obelisk from the bank. I hate the pickup sticks method of training summoning. I don't like training summoning, so I'm going to use my lamps on summoning. I'm sorry, it's not optimal, but what are you going to do? Remember when I said I wanted to talk about the Animate Dead spell later? Well, now is later. So here's the thing about the Animate Dead spell. For each piece of magic tank armor you're wearing, you gain 10% of its armor value as flat damage reduction, And you gain 33% of your defense level as flat damage reduction. Ganodermic armor is tank armor, it's augmentable, and it's very easy to get since Ganodermic beasts are pretty easy to kill. You just need to collect enough Ganodermic flakes. But why am I so interested in this spell? Well, as you can see in the background, I'm fighting Hellwear with melee. I'm not particularly good at it because I suck at this game. It's a common theme you're gonna see in these videos. I'm just not very good. But there's apparently an AFK method of killing Hellwear, which when I read AFK, that basically means brainless, which is perfect for me. And the method involves using tank magic armor and animate dead. Hellwear uses a lot of bleeds, which means you're going to be taking several small hits of damage throughout the fight. Animate dead reduces the damage of all of these small hits into smaller hits. Allegedly, Soul Split and Vampirism are just about enough healing to keep you alive while you kill Hellwear, and you don't really have to pay much attention. If you also pair it with a Blood Reaver pet, which does damage every time you heal, and weapon poisons, which can proc off the Blood Reaver's damage hits, you can kill Hellwear pretty effectively. It's not the fastest way of killing it, but it is a rather simple way to farm Hellwear for a long period of time, and since we want some better magic weapons, what better boss to farm than Hellwear? Unfortunately, I haven't bothered farming up the Gano armor yet because I'm lazy. So for the time being, next time we want to kill Hellwear, we're going to continue using melee, but that means we want some better melee armor. Yes, power armor is better than tank armor, but when you're not doing enough damage to out-damage the boss who's damaging you, it's sometimes a good idea to have tank armor, especially in slots where you don't have power armor. And since last time we got 15 million Bandos Tacits and nothing else, we're going to need some Elder Rune armor, which means we need to get 90 smithing. We're at 88 smithing right now, so our first step is taking the set of Bane armor we already have and turning it into burial armor. We're not going to need this Bane set once we have Elder Rune, and this is just a good way of getting some extra experience out of it. Doing this gets us to 89 smithing, which means we can now smelt corrupted ore. And fortunately, we have plenty in our bank from all of the crystal chests we've been opening thanks to the keys we've been getting from our Grace of the Elves and from various Elder God Wars bosses. And don't forget that it is better to smelt it in the Traherne Forge during the Traherne Voice of Saren because you get 20% extra XP. And then we get 90 from smithing a burial something. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was a plate body. It was probably Bane. 90 smithing means we can now make Elder Rune armor, Batman. Did you get it? It was a Joker impression. And from this, we were able to earn enough respect from the... well, I've lost your respect, but we've earned enough respect from the Artisan Workshop to buy the 6th and final piece of the Blacksmith outfit, which allows us to modify the headpiece, which gives us a slightly higher chance to make extra bars so we don't have to mine as much. But now we begin the long and arduous task of mining a bunch of dark and light animica so we can make ourselves a set of Elder Rune armor. To make a full set of Elder Rune plus 5 armor would require us to mine 384 dark and light animica and also make 384 rune bars. Rather than spending a ton of time mining all of that all at once, I'm just gonna do some Voice of Saren mining because you have a slightly higher chance of getting extra ore while mining the rocks during Voice of Saren. So we'll make a full set of plus 5 at some point in the future, but for now we're just gonna have a nice base set of Elder Rune armor. Even if it's not fully upgraded, it'll still be better than Bane armor. It just won't be as good as it could be. Now here's a decent use for the Elder Rune armor. Fighting Grardor. He does melee damage and range damage, so, you know. Well, we didn't need to make the Elder Rune helmet. Okay, cool. We got a Bandos helmet. Okay. I'm never gonna get a chest plate. Back when the Ironman mode first released, there was really only one guaranteed way of getting an onyx, and that was from the fight kiln. When you complete the fight kiln, you have a choice: cape or an onyx. There were other methods, but that was pretty much the easiest way of getting one. Now, onyx dust is everywhere, like actual dust, and you can just use divination to make an onyx if you have enough dust. Or you could luck out and open an Elder Trove and just get one. It's pretty nice. You can tell this clip is kinda old because of the Elder Overload golems in the background, but I wanted to showcase how I train my fletching, and I believe this is a pretty standard way for most Ironmen to train their fletching. Every day you can buy broad arrowheads from various Slayer Masters. You can get 3,000 from the one in Burthorpe, I won't spoil who it is because you might have not done the quest, and you can get 3,000 from any other Slayer Master. You can also buy another 3,000 from the bandit camp in the wilderness, but you need to make sure you have a skull on your head or else you'll get attacked by all the bandits there because they don't like people who aren't aggressive. So pretty much you can buy up to 9,000 a day for 450k. However, as an Iron Man, you have to fletch all of the headless arrows yourself. Fortunately, because you're limited by the daily amount of broad arrowheads you can actually buy, you really don't have to grind out tens of thousands of headless arrows in a single day. You can do it gradually over time as you collect the arrowheads. Or you could fletch and tip 6,000 arrows every day and not save up supplies. I didn't do that. Instead, I accumulated over 100,000 arrowheads and headless arrows so we can train a bunch of fletching all right away and get several levels. I almost forgot to mention I got my feathers from various fishing shops. They sell feather packs. Also, I got a bunch of logs from my kingdom. For a small investment, you can get a ton of maple logs, and then you use those maple logs and make a bunch of shafts. You'll be drowning in shafts in no time. Tons of rigid, hard shafts. For your arrows, 85, 86, 87, got the pet, 88, 89, and 90, which means we can now boost with a fletching potion to make criminal bolts. Have you ever wondered why crossbows are considered better than bows in this game? Well, one of the big reasons is that you can't use criminal bolts with bows. Who'd have guessed? But they have a lower damage stat than even royal bolts. How are they any better? Well, you see, you can add bolt tips to criminal bolts and enchant them. Some of the effects aren't very useful, but some of them are invaluable. For instance, ruby criminal bolts have a 5% chance of triggering the blood forfeit effect, which hits the target for up to 20% of their remaining life points while dealing the player 10% of their own life points as recoil. Diamond criminal bolts have a 5% chance of triggering the armor piercing effect, which deals up to 15% more damage to the target with perfect accuracy. And Hydrix criminal bolts have a 10% chance of triggering the death mark effect, which instantly grants the player 10% adrenaline and an additional 1% from basic abilities for 15 seconds. Subsequent activations while under the effect of death mark will refresh the effect. You get different effects from different gem tips, so it makes criminal bolts very versatile, and the proc chance can be increased by wearing the ranged cape or having completed the Elite Seer's task set. The trouble is, getting these bolts on an Iron Man can be a bit tricky. You can only make these bolts from the logs of a bloodwood tree, and there are only 8 in the game, and you can only cut them down once per day. 3 of the trees are in the wilderness, and they're a bit hardier than the other ones, so you can get more logs from them usually, but you also run the risk of being killed by other players. And it's not like you can cut the logs and quickly bank them, because if you venture too far from the tree, the logs turn to ash. You need to turn them into bolts right next to the tree, or else you're not going to be able to turn them into bolts at all. There are various modifiers you can use to ensure you get more bolts every day, things like visible boosts, invisible boosts, the Nature's Sentinel outfit, bloodweed incense sticks, but you're still limited to a daily amount. You can't just sit down and say, all day today I'm gonna grind out a bunch of criminal bolts. That's just not the way it works. This is why I want to start making them as soon as possible. That way when we do actually need them, or when we do actually start to use them, we'll have a stockpile in our bank ready to go. Speaking of increased proc chance from the range cape, what better place to get 99 range than fighting Kriara? Do you remember when skill cape perks first came out, the ranged capes perk was that it picked up arrows for you? It was totally pointless. Oh, arrows, pointless. The maximum number of penguin points you can have is 250. I have 249 right here because I didn't want to wait another week to get 250, so we're going to buy a ton of huge XP lamps, and we're going to use it all on not Herblore. But regardless of what I use it on, this XP drop is going to be great. Ooh, look at that XP drop. Big XP drops are always fun. We go from 91 to 93, which means we can now make Abyssal Titan pouches and complete the Elite Ardoin task set. So what's really dumb is we use the Abyssal Titan and we make some runes at the Orania altar. There's another task which involves emptying a giant pouch at the Orania altar. I assumed you could just make the runes at the altar and it'll count for both achievements. No, you have to go to the altar and actually empty the pouch before you craft the runes. I mean, I guess it's obvious when you read it, but it's still annoying. The rewards from the Elite Ardoin task set are a bit lackluster except for one thing. You have an unlimited amount of teleports to the Manor Farm. It is super convenient for farm runs, and I'm glad we have it. Also, we're going to use all of these XP lamps on summoning, getting us 94 but not unlocking anything. Then I opted to actually train to 95, making, you guessed it, spirit jellies. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of the skilling this episode was done specifically so we could open these effigies that have been sitting in my bank for ages, because I kept getting effigy drops from Elder God Wars, but I already had 5 in my bank, so I wasn't actually getting the drops. I was just being told, you got an effigy drop, but there was no effigy to be found. I guess if you have 5 in your bank, you can't get any more. It sucks. I probably missed out on about 3 effigies, but now we're going to open them because our levels are, we trained and we're going to use spicy stuff. And we'll end today with a taste of what is to come. Next time we are going to be grinding out the Dominion Tower achievements so we can unlock the... Next time we are going to be grinding out the Dominion Tower achievements so we can unlock. Damn it. Next time we're going to be. This is the pain I deal with. Next time we're going to be grinding out the Dominion. Why doesn't my mouth work? Next time we're going to be grinding out the Dominion Tower achievements so we can complete the Elite Desert task set. It's going to be a bit tedious, but we're going to do it anyway. Thanks for watching. Take care. Oh, I forgot to talk about the salamanders.